My name's Harold. We're gonna get started today on my DRO installation, and you'll see that even though I open up the package and they have some wonderful, huge brackets in there, there's a lot of them. But I finally come to the conclusion that they're better suited for a machine the size of something that Adam Booth or Tom Lipton has, not the size of the little machine I've got. And I wind up making all my own brackets. But before we get to that, this is a subject that I'm not representing myself as an expert on, but I've been there and I've seen a few things, and that's home defense, gun safety. If uh, if your only reason for buying something like this is just to protect the home, and you're not going to go out and get into competition or anything, well, what you ought to buy is not a big old polymer pistol like this. What you need is some kind of a revolver. Now, you don't need a great big one like this. This is a 357 Magnum, and you don't need that. Something like a 38 Special, with a barrel about like that. That's what you need for home defense. And the reason I say that is this guy right here, which I'll show you, he's quite empty. We don't shoot any rednecks. Every time you pull that trigger, it's going to work, you know. And if there was, in the unlikely event that there was a dud round in the chamber, which I've never had, if there was a dud round in there, it would go on right on to the next one. And you don't need, like I say, you don't need 357. I got this size gun for shooting bowling pins. That's what I do with it. And I needed something that was strong enough that I could take 38 special ammunition and load it really hot, and it wouldn't hurt anything. But if you get this kind of a gun, you need to practice with it. You need to use it on a regular basis, because these polymer guns are light, and when you fire it, a person without experience is going to tend to limp wrist the gun. Now, what I mean by limp wristing is it's going to jump back like that, and that'll make it malfunction. I guarantee you. You may get off one shot if you didn't forget to rack the slide like that. And I'll show you, it's real empty. If you forgot to rack the slide and put a round in the chamber, you may go there, click, nothing happens, huh? That's the first thing that could go wrong. The second thing is, if you limp wrist this thing, and I'm going to put a demo here. If you let this thing bounce back like this, the inertia of the slide here, the inertia of the slide coming back, is going to be lost by you letting it, letting the body go back right along with the slide. And the result of that is going to be, let me see if I can show you what the result will be without a lot of trouble. It's hard to set up some things for a demo, but a polymer gun can catch the empty case coming out like that. When you let it bounce back, I've seen it happen tons of times to people. What experience and practice gets you is you learn how to hold it so it just gives a little of that when you're firing. Inexperienced people, and ladies in particular, tend to let it come bouncing back like that. This is the malfunction. It's not going to fire again. You're going to be standing, oh my God, what's wrong? And the bad guy is, he's stabbing me all over the place with that knife, and this thing won't fire, huh? Another thing that can happen is if you're letting it limp wrist like that, it might not even eject the empty and try, and so if it doesn't come back far enough to eject, it's not going to push a new round in there either. It's just going to bounce back and come up, and it might click, and it might not. But that's not what you're after. So that's why I'm saying, if you're going to be a casual user, you're going to put this in your drawer somewhere, nightstand, a little safe under the bed, and you're not going to use it until that burglar comes along. You don't want this. This is a wonderful gun here. Don't get me wrong. I like this. I shoot bowling pins with this too. But it's not for the casual user. If you've just got to have a semi-automatic, get one that's all steel all over. And the reason for that is the steel is heavy and it resists the tendency to kick back like that. And you can look around on YouTube. You can find guys showing I saw one the other day demonstrating with his Glock, and he could limp wrist it like that and cause it to catch the empties. He could limp wrist it and cause it to, not ever eject. And all these things are copies of a Glock. This one right here is a Springfield XDM, but they're all copies of a Glock. So if you really want to come out all right, the right thing, you want a revolver. If you're just going to be a casual user and not do anything with that thing until you have an emergency. What I'd really advise, even if you're just going to be the casual user, that you and your significant other, whoever's going to use this thing, you go to the range at least twice a year and fire a couple of boxes of ammo through it so you have some idea of what you're doing. And that's doubly important if you have a semi-auto, because you got to know how to load it. You got to remember to rack the slide. There's a lot of stuff that you need to do, and if you're an inexperienced person, you're going to go in there to that burglar, you're going to be scared to death. I guarantee you, you're going to be scared, your hands shaky. You're not going to remember to rack the slide and get around in it. I'm sure you're not. And, no telling, you'll be all over the place. You'll be a ton better off if you get you a revolver. Like I say, you don't need one about that long, and a 38 special or some caliber like that is more than adequate. You don't have to blow arms off of people or nothing. Just to poke a hole in them and they'll go away and leave you alone. That's the whole idea. So anyway, now that I've said all this, let's get on with the DRO. It's taken a long time to get to that point. Okay, so here's box 1 of the DRO. The other box is still in transit, but it's in Houston, so I know that it's not too far away. And inside you've got seals for things and the scales and such, so I'm going to pull those out, go ahead and start installing that. The final piece of the display will be here probably by Monday, considering it's already at the sorting facility in Houston. A little more handheld here. Inside the box is a bag full of hardware and brackets that are definitely big brackets. You could probably pull a Ford truck with one of those. And another bag full of hardware, various and sundry kinds, nuts, bolts, screws, washers, tie wraps. It looks like I'm probably going to have just about everything I need to put this together. So we'll back off here with the camera, and I'm going to put it on the front, put the Z-axis on the front, because this thing's only got about 7 inches of travel, and the cover for the scale for the back it's about that wide, probably 1.5 inches or better. I'd lose 1.5 inches of travel, where stuff sticking out over the front here, I don't lose anything that way. And that's my reasoning on it. So it may turn out to be wrong. If it is, I'll move it. First thing I'll do is start getting things laid out. No use worrying about that on camera. Well, I got everything stripped off the front there, and I've got it cleaned up pretty good. Now I'm trying to figure out how to screw things down. In all those little packages, there's a little bag of silica gel, and it says on there, "Do not eat." I'm really glad I read that. Those 2 holes right there are just right to use this bracket on, but I'm going to have to make some holes in the bracket to match up to the ones down there. I'll just slot a couple of holes in there, and then it'll fit on the side. So on with that. I'll do it off camera.
Alright, this will be the last cut across this thing to move some holes, match up what's already drilled in my machine. Running the bit just a little, the end mill just a little bit slow, but I'll feed slow to make up for it. Easier than jumping up there and moving the belts again. I'm going to have to set myself up a better way to get up there to the belts. that's it. Do a little deburring, and then I can bolt this onto the side of the table. It's got some burrs on it, but other than that, it'll do the job. Back off of the camera.
Well, I got some mail yesterday and got a pretty neat thing there. I bet you can sort of see it right there. Got an envelope from Florida and had a couple of stickers in it. Those stickers are pretty tricky things. Alright, so I've got the sort of temporary work done on getting the X-axis on there. I've actually spent a couple of days fooling with it, trying different ideas, and finally I just stripped all the stuff off the front and got different bolts, and this looks like it's going to work out in this way, and I know I can get it straight. I can get it straight level this way, and I can get it straight this way. I've already got that worked out. I'm not so sure about the dust cover, because it looks like it's going to stick up just a little bit more than I really want there, but that'll be something else for me to solve as I come to it. We'll keep on though. There's one of the axes almost installed, and hopefully next week the little display for this thing will arrive. It came in one box, and it's supposed to be a 2-box shipment, and found out one box was in Houston and one box was in Tennessee, or Kentucky. No, I think it was in Memphis, Tennessee. Anyway, I'm looking forward to the display arriving, and I'm going to keep on going and putting it all together as best I can. I've made about 1 million trips to the hardware store here, and got about $1 million worth of hardware and screws and nuts and all this sort of thing, and finally I started to make a little bit of progress, so I'm going to work on it, and then we'll come back to it later. Okay, this is a whole other day. As you can tell, I got on my FRC jacket and long sleeve shirt because it's turned off cold in Houston. It's about 40 degrees outside, and it's 49 in here, so I think I can live with it. Not as tough as Chris B257. Got another sticker there. Got a little envelope from Benicia, California. So things are coming right on along, looking up. I've got this scale just about installed, the X scale, and I've actually made some of my own brackets here. That's the underneath it. You can see that's a piece of angle iron that I started working on. I haven't got the holes that go up in the bottom to hold the little reader part yet, but that's going to be today's job, or at least one of them. And in the meantime, this guy arrived by FedEx, and he had little styrofoam balls all over him. I finally figured out you could vacuum them off. You can't pick them off. You touch one and it jumps, and then it's somewhere else. I guess I'm going to put it up on this side of the machine. Probably mounted right back there on the other column. I'll have to drill some holes, and I've got they sent me some screws with it. They only sent me 2 screws, and there's 4 holes in here, but you know, we'll work that out in just a little bit. This guy looks really neat. I plugged him in, turned him on, and everything's good, or at least it appears to be. So, and it came with a manual, and I'm gonna stash it away somewhere safe so that, you know, if all else fails, we can look in there. You know, no use getting really down into the thing just right off. You know, it's a guy thing. I know a lot of women would have took that thing out of the package and sat down and looked at all the stuff and got that manual and read it all the way through. I don't really understand women, So I don't know. Anyway, today I'm going to work on this bracket, try to get it fastened onto this little guy here, and I'll show you little bits as I go along. I won't bore you to death with me bolting and unbolting and junk. So we'll go off camera a little bit. This groove is the same distance as the holes in this little reader piece. So what we'll do is we'll use this one to figure out how far to move over for the next groove. And that looks about like 2.875 inches. So that's what we'll move, 2.875 inches. This is my non-code compensated $10 calipers, so we'll see how good we do. Alright, these holes are a 1/2 inch center to center from each other. So when I pop this little bugger off there, it should be easy to reach them with a screw. So we'll get a couple screws the right size, and that certainly looks right. So let's just I made them, you know, more than long enough so that I could position this thing practically anywhere. Sure is hard to put a screw down in a blind hole there. Alright, so there you are. The screws are in the right area, and so I can bolt this on there, put this into position, and bolt onto it. I expect I'll have to have some little spacers because this doesn't really touch that, and they want the thing to be up tight, so I'll probably put spacers with a nut to sort of push it up a little bit. We'll work on that here in a minute. Had to back the wife's car out so she could go to the store, and it might have dropped the temperature in here a degree or so. But when she comes back, I'm going to have all that big hot engine block to make me feel comfortable. Okay, I've got some little bushings to go here to take up the space, but I need a little 5mm nut to go on here to clamp the screw tightly to this thing here while it's also holding this guy up against there. And I just discovered they didn't include any nuts in the batch of parts, so I guess I'm gonna have to go down to Harborough Freight and see about one of their little packages. They've got them down there for about $9 with a whole bunch of metric sizes in them. I'm gonna give that a shot.